we're very happy to have with us on air. And let me tell you, he's also running for a very important position. That's Arizona Attorney General Abraham Hamadeh. And Abe, you and I have talked about this. You are an intelligence officer in the U.S. Army. You have just returned from a 14-month-long deployment to Saudi Arabia. You've dealt with these issues. You've implemented enhanced security vetting responses to terrorism attacks. I mean, you know this area very well. The idea that the Department of Homeland Security is setting up a misinformation, disinformation review board, how does that strike you?
Well, it doesn't shock me under this Biden administration. I mean, if you're looking at the same DHS also said that white supremacist is the greatest threat to domestic terrorism right now. So it doesn't surprise me, but it's obviously the greatest threat we're facing. I mean, at this point, when I come back from my tour in Saudi Arabia, Jay, you know, when I was out there, I was trying to prevent another terrorist attack like the Pensacola 2019 incident from ever happening again. But now you have our own government labeling parents who speak out at school board meetings as potential domestic terrorists. So this is what's going on. This is what's so much more frightening and insidious, is now that there's suddenly a ministry of truth, and, you know, it's the odd timing of it all. But, you know, the disinformation, the misinformation, we never want to call out the media and how complicit they were with the Hunter Biden suppression stories, or even remember back when the COVID initially came out, if you try to say that, you know, the COVID actually leaked from the Wuhan lab. So this is what's so frightening.
Pretty much everybody agrees with this happened. But let me ask you this, Abe, because you're a lawyer, I'm a lawyer. I mean, the idea, let's think about, I'm trying to really stress this with our audience around the country. The idea that the Department of Homeland Security, you worked on that Pensacola terrorism attack. You know how significant these acts are. That's, you're talking about criminal conduct there. But to have DHS take resources, number one, away from the border, we'll talk about that in a moment, and apply them to a governance board to stop misinformation. I asked the question, and exactly how are they planning on doing this? How are they going to come in and stop misinformation? Are they going to seek warrants?
Well, they've already been effectively silencing us, Jay. And that's, it's no longer just big government we have to worry about. Obviously, it's always the case. But, big tech is in collusion with the big government as well. Look at the Canadian trucker situation. If you donated money to the Canadian truckers, GoFundMe was about to send that money off to radical leftist organizations. And it was actually state AGs who prevented that from happening. So what's going on right now, I'm trying to stress this enough. The last few years, we've been ambushed every single day. Just every week something new pops up, right? Disney. Who would have ever thought we were going to be, at odds with Disney and Disney weighing into this? And now you have the government setting up a ministry of the truth, essentially trying to prevent disinformation and misinformation. And we're seeing it, all across the world right now, how much it's applying with Ukraine and Russia. And, the media is complicit with it. But we have to always be on guard. The big government right now is encroaching on our lives. And Joe Biden, in 14, 15 months, think about how much our country has changed.
But the thing that you talked about, like the Disney thing, well, there's arguments on both sides that Disney has free speech rights and the government doesn't have to provide benefits. You could argue about that day and night, right? Those are legal arguments. So, right, policies, you fight those out in a regular court or at the ballot box. But when your government, through the Department of Homeland Security, a law enforcement agency, is setting up a board of governance to stop misinformation. I'm going to play this Jensaki bite for you, Abe. I've already given my reaction to this, but let me play it. I want Abe to hear it. I want our audience to hear it again. Take a listen.
What I can tell you is that it sounds like the objective of the board is to prevent disinformation and misinformation from traveling around the country in a range of communities. I'm not sure who opposes that effort.
James Madison, I said, number one, but your reaction to that statement.
They're living in a different world, Jay. And it doesn't surprise me, which is sad, because there's so much coming at us all at once. We're being ambushed because the radical left has infiltrated every single aspect of our lives. And yes, they're going after freedom of speech, which is so critical because, once they silence us, we see how powerful it is. Sure. When you have Twitter silencing Donald Trump, but allows, the Ayatollah and allows terrorists like the Taliban on Twitter. So that's what's going on right now. I'm trying to wake up. Every great civilization has only lasted about 250 years, Jay. And the rate we're going in, I'm really worried and concerned about our country, and especially when you have the highest levels of our government really taking a dystopian 1984 viewpoint of how they're going to treat our citizens.
And maybe even worse, because the government has the authority through the Department of Homeland Security. Folks, I think we're looking at the greatest threat to free speech in our lifetime. I think this is potentially huge. We had a lot of calls coming in. Abe, I'm going to want you to answer some of these. By the way, if you want more information about Abe and the campaign, Abe, where's the place to go?
AbeForAG.com, AbeForAG.com.
Okay, let's go ahead. I'm going to take Bill's call from Pennsylvania. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Jay. Hey, just a quick comment. I am deeply, deeply disturbed by this. It really ruined my day. And I hope that liberals and Democrats that might be listening understand that this will fall on them, too. Totalitarians do not discriminate. Whoever talks down on them will certainly, face their wrath. And with that, you guys are one of the few that speak out for truth, for us, for America. I really want to encourage everybody listening. We need to make donations to your cause. You're going to be a very busy group of people there. So I hope everyone will make some kind of a contribution.
Thanks, Bill. Let me tell you what we've already done, Abe. We sent out a letter yesterday, as soon as this happened. We sent out a letter, as you know, Freedom of Information Act request letter, getting the background of how this started. Because when you make a legal challenge, it's always good to know what's the history, what was going on behind the scenes. But, you're running for Attorney General. Interestingly, and I've represented a number of Attorney Generals in cases, the Attorney General's roles here in the states could be very, very important.
Right. I mean, I think at this point where you're looking at so many, before AG's roles, by the way, Jay, hasn't been as strong as they have been lately. I mean, I talked to former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli. He gave me an interesting statistic. From 2009 to 2017, state AG sued Obama administration, the Republican AG sued him about 80 times. When Donald Trump took office in his first year, Democratic AG sued him about 90 times. And this is where, Democrats play to win, Republicans have been playing nice. So we got to go on offense. So, I haven't seen the FOIA request that you put on there, but, I think when you get to the bottom of it, why they're implementing so many of these changes, I think, quite frankly, they think we're the enemy at this point. I mean, they're looking at where, how many, political what they're trying to do is basically it's a witch hunt, and they want to suppress us and silence us, not just with the tools of big government, but we have to remember big corporations and big tech can be as tyrannical as big government as well. And that's where,
You're right. I am thrilled, by the way, that that Elon Musk is making the move that he is on Twitter. I'm thrilled that Truth Social is now launched. We're on there at Jay Sekulow, at Jordan Sekulow, at Logan Sekulow, at ACLJ. Abe, at what? On your
Abraham Hamadeh, yeah. I'm on Truth Social, and it's been a fun platform to use.
Yeah, it's nice to go to a platform where not everything's hateful, but you know what? I think Twitter's fine to have both sides of the view, but they haven't been. They've skewed it. Now I think that's changing. Let's go ahead and take another phone call. Barbara's calling from Pennsylvania. Barbara, go ahead.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Sure.
My question is, I want to know whose idea this was. I do not believe that this came from President Biden, but I think that it would have come from the White House. And I want to know whose idea and how did this get started?
Well, look, the White House is responsible, though, Abe, because the White House, these agencies are in the executive branch of government. So whether President Biden initiated it himself, we'll find all that out with our lawsuit that'll be following up this FOIA letter because they're not going to respond or they'll delay. Excuse me. But the fact of the matter is, Abe, it came through an executive branch, DHS. That's the White House control.
Exactly. And remember, this isn't new, Jay. I mean, look at what Obama did with weaponizing the IRS, targeting conservative groups, right? I mean, this is exactly the radical
those cases, right?
And this is exactly the radical left's, MO. So this isn't surprising right now, but Republicans have to be forceful. We can't be weak. And I think there's something that we got to appreciate about Donald Trump. He knew how to fight back. I mean, we saw that with, the atrocious Brett Kavanaugh hearings and all the lies and the slander there. And, any other typical Republican, I'm sure, would have withdrawn his nomination. So this is where Republican AGs, Republican governors, I tell folks, never forget the states are the ones that created the federal government. And under the right state leadership, we'll be the ones that save our country. But we have to have a backbone and start pushing back against, the federal government right now. I mean, God bless anybody who wants to go to D.C. right now to be a senator or congressman. But it's miserable. You go and hang out with Ilhan Omar, Nancy Pelosi, but the states.
But you got to go where the battle is, and the battle's there too. The battles are in the state. If you want to get information about Abe's running for, he's a tremendous background, as we've already said, folks. He's a good friend of Rick Cornell's as well. Abe, for people that want more information.
You can go to AbeForAG.com, AbeForAG.com.
Abe, thanks for being with us. We really appreciate it.